Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel, and we are back. It's myself, Chris, joined by Decker for another little mini clip, another 10-minute podcast. This week's topic, Decker, is going to be Starboy Joseph Willock. Joseph Willock,
Okay.
as he calls himself, Willock.
Willock. All right.
Do you think that'll ever catch?
Definitely not. No chance.
Joe Willock.
Willock.
So a lot of fans discussing this, and if we go back to the time that Joe Willock signed for the club, we'll talk about his loan period first of all. He scored every other week. Was it 12 goals or something ridiculous like that he scored in the final half of the season, really. Very similar to Cisse stats when he came in December. A lot of fans now looking at Joe Willock and thinking, does he deserve an England call-up? I think we'll have to look at this not just as the player, but as the squad which Gareth Southgate has been picking over the last two tournaments, I would say. Performances so far this season, I think I'm going to be a little bit harsh here on Willock, but I like Willock as a player, but I think there's moments in games where he could do a lot better, especially finishing. I know he got his goal at the weekend, but we've seen it quite a bit where he struggles in front of goals at times, but he's always there. He's always in and around. Do you think it's about time that Gareth Southgate came back up to Newcastle and looked once again at the English lads available?
I would. I'd probably say so. Yes, I'd probably say so, because I think if you look at, which I'm sure we'll get onto, the players that he has picked, there's a few names I think that stand out of really. Like,
there's one which stands out massively, who has had around about 9 minutes game time in the Premier League this season. Yeah. So,
and that's unacceptable. And I think for a player looking inside, even that, you must be scratching your head saying, I'm playing every single minute here. My team's third. I've scored again. And you're picking someone who's played 9 minutes of football.
Yeah. So it's Calvin Phillips. So we'll just get straight to it. Obviously, great player for Leeds. Took the chance at, and I'm saying chance, obviously it's a huge deal moving to Manchester City. It's not really a chance. It comes with a risk though, because you're losing game time straight away. And Calvin Phillips was an absolute legend at Leeds. And since his arrival at Manchester City, he's been injured quite a lot. Since he's recovered from the injury, he's struggling to get game time as in starting positions, which is understandable, the squad which City have. So why is he getting picked over somebody like Joe Willock? And there will be others, but obviously we're focusing on Willock because he's our player. Why is he almost guaranteed a spot?
It's a tough one. I think it's obviously Southgate must trust him and really see something in him. But like for me, it's surely it's all about, what you've done with your club team to warrant you getting that sort of achievement and the form to be able to be within your international squad. And I think, you go back a little while ago, right? And this is, I know people are laughing here, but we've I'm not saying us necessarily, but certainly people have said Lascelles deserved a call up when he was playing well, and Shelby should have get him on when our team. We've always been here batting.
Mike Williamson, Digger.
Well, I do remember that.
Mike
I didn't even say it. Yeah, I remember that one. I know we do bat for our guys as much as we can. But I think certainly the international friendlies and stuff like all these qualifiers against likes of Ukraine and things like that, that's when you likes of your Joe Willock. And again, there'll be other players out there that obviously we're just looking from a Newcastle perspective. But when you're seeing the likes of Phillips and Conor Gallagher, for example, I just find that strange, really, really strange. And to be fair, all Willock can do is continue to just keep doing what he's doing. And just a reference, I know he is missing some chances and stuff, but there's not many centre midfielders like him, right, that get in the box. And I love that.
He's so versatile as a centre midfielder.
Absolutely. He's all over the place, and he's always willing to get in the box and try and get a goal. And if you think so, likes of Calvin Phillips and, some of the players that in that England setup, Jordan Henderson's and all that, they're not going to do that for you. They're not game-changing players that could get you a goal. They're quite safe players, in my opinion, where Joe Willock's not that. Joe Willock's a box-to-box, energetic, and get your goals as well.
So if we look at Match of the Day and the comments which Shearer made as well, Shearer said very similar, saying that maybe it's about time Gareth Southgate started coming to more Newcastle games because there's a lot of talent on show from that England squad, and we're focusing on Willock. Obviously, Nick Pope's already featured and will continue to feature for England, the same with Trippier. You've got Dan Burn to a certain degree at left back, which I think obviously that's outside chance. He's not getting that England call up at all. you look at the two centre midfield players, or obviously we mentioned Willock, even Longstaff. Is it because these lads aren't? We'll always come back to this, but in the media's eyes and in Southgate's eyes at this moment, they're not playing for a big team, even though we're sat third in the Premier League. Do you think that's one of the caveats that come with it?
Probably is. Yeah, I'd say it probably is, because I think you've seen it before where there'll be other clubs where have got good individual players, but they'll pick someone who plays for Liverpool or they'll pick someone who plays for Chelsea that doesn't get any game time, and it is this. Is it like a click almost of like it has to be from these 5 or 6, and that's why there's normally such a shock when someone does get picked from an outside of that.
Like Callum Wilson when he got picked.
Yeah, when Wilson did, and there's a few others, like that. But I think Longstaff is a bit of a stretch. I don't want to feel like I'm knocking Longstaff because he's been ever present here. How clearly rates him, and you know what it is. In fairness to him, if you think about consistency as a footballer, he is consistently given that performance every single week, isn't he?
He's probably one of our most underrated players at the moment.
Yeah, he probably is. He probably is because he's not maybe getting goals and things like that, or doing no flair to his game, the flashy things, but he's doing a lot of groundwork in there as well. And there's players in there in that England squad that you could say the same. They're not going to grab the headlines, but they're going to do put a shift in for you. But I think obviously he will come back because he's still going to want to monitor Pope and Trippier. You need Willock to really shine on their moments when Southgate's there. But of course, he'll be getting reports of the weekend and seeing Willock score again, have multiple chances to score. I know he missed a few, but he's still in there. As I keep saying, he's still getting the opportunities. He's the engine he's got's incredible.
It's honestly ridiculous. That probably goes for every player, to be honest.
It does.
But Willock, for some reason, even though they're probably all at a very similar stature in regards to fitness, Willock just looks like he gives that extra mile.
He always seems to have it in him all the time. And I think
it's that burst of energy, isn't it?
I remember when he came off the bench in the cup final, everyone was like, "Oh, he didn't look anywhere near." I don't think that was a criticism to Willock, but it does show you, doesn't it? Like seeing Willock just coming back from injury, and then now the difference in his fitness and how he looks is unbelievable. But no, listen, I would honestly say that he deserves to at least be looked at. He deserves to be in the conversation.
Still in his early 20s as well. 23, I believe he is. And he's just keep getting better and better. Yeah. And that's not seasons, obviously, each season as he plays. It's each game he seems to be improving.
Well, because I think when he went on that run when we had him on loan, and he obviously you mentioned he scored all them goals, he then came in and wasn't really scoring. But that was, you kind of accept that because you're like, well, he's only a midfielder. But now you're seeing his all-round games improving, isn't it? It's not just necessarily because he was coming off the bench and scoring a goal, which were important at the time. But you can see now that his actual overall game is really, really improving as well. And how's always going to do that? That's how must love him. How must love working with a young player like him. So,
if you're going to put the neck on the line, do you think this will happen anytime soon? Do you think Joe Willock will get a chance in that England setup?
Well, I don't know what the next fixtures are, but let's just say if the next fixtures that are coming are going to be a friendly situation where we might have 2 or 3 friendlies here, yes.
It's a no-brainer at that point.
But if it's more qualifiers, I don't think he will. And I'm not saying that's the right decision. I'm just saying what I think he'll do. I think he'll go with the same he's got, which would be even more frustrating.
It goes back to the point when Southgate first got the job where he said that he was going to be picking players on form. He did it with Wilson. I'll give him that.
He did, and Pope as well.
Obviously, but then you flip that coin around and look at Tony. I know Tony had the investigation with the gambling and the betting going behind the scenes, but then can we put that to one side because he got picked for the next team which played. So
I remember with Tony, he picked him to the squad and then didn't give him any time at all, not even on the bet. It was literally nothing. And that's always your fear, isn't it? That they let them part of be the setup, but they don't even get a minute.
Yeah.
And you're playing, pointless friendlies. And the whole idea of a friendly is to experiment.
And being selfish as a fan of club football, what's the point them going if they're not going to get any minutes?
Yeah, I agree. And I think as well, what's really, which I used to always think is when we were shit, right? When we used to be shit and a player would be talking about going in on international duty, I'd be petrified because I don't want him talking to the likes of your Harry Kanes or whoever it might be, thinking,
getting tapped up.
This is what it's like. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now we're not in that situation anymore.
We're sending agents in there now.
Trippier will be there. Yeah, exactly. So it's for me personally, it's a selfish thing. it's a lot more pleasant to see players getting called up because there's no risk of them going anywhere. You know, I mean, interestingly, I wouldn't know if he had the question back. I'm not saying he'll be playing as many games for Arsenal, of course, given what they're doing. But if he was still at Arsenal, would he be in the squad? I mean, my answer is probably yes.
If he's performing to how he's performing now,
just the same
in an Arsenal shirt, 100% he gets picked.
And then that's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah,
like that goes back to what we've said, that is wrong. And I agree, he probably would be picked, which is wrong. Yeah.
But yeah, let us know what you think. If you think Joe Willock deserves an England call-up, then comment below.
Does Jacob Murphy deserve?
Jacob Murphy, get so Longstaff in there. We could have 7 players in there by the end of the season. But yeah, let us know what you think. If you think Joe Willock should get a call-up to the England squad, and if so, whose place should he take? Thanks for watching. See you later. Ta-ra.